The first battle that any woman faces on her journey to becoming undefeatable is not against the outside world, but against her own mind. It is the constant dialogue that runs within, sometimes whispering possibilities, and at other times screaming limitations. What we say to ourselves, silently or aloud, is the foundation of everything we experience. An undefeatable woman understands that the mind can be her greatest enemy or her most loyal ally, and therefore she chooses to master it. When you wake in the morning, even before your feet touch the ground, the mind begins to speak. It may say, "I feel tired," or "This day will be difficult," or perhaps "I don't know if I am enough." Without realizing it, many of us allow those first thoughts to dictate the rhythm of our entire day. But what if you could train your mind to speak differently? What if the first thought you gave yourself was, "I am strong, I am capable, and today I will rise no matter what comes"? That is the beginning of mastering the inner dialogue. Our thoughts are seeds. Whatever we plant repeatedly will eventually grow roots and bear fruit. If a woman plants doubt, fear, or constant self-criticism in her inner garden, she should not be surprised when her life begins to feel heavy with those same burdens. But if she plants discipline, compassion, and belief in her own abilities, she will see strength blooming in places she never thought possible. To be undefeatable, one must become intentional about what is planted inside the mind every single day. It is easy to underestimate the power of words when they are unspoken, but the body hears them, the emotions respond to them, and life reflects them. Imagine carrying an inner voice that constantly says, "I can't, I'm not good enough, I will fail." It is like carrying an invisible chain that tightens with every step you take. Now imagine instead carrying an inner voice that says, "I can try, I am learning, I will grow stronger." That voice becomes the wind at your back, lifting you forward, even in difficult times. To master inner dialogue, one must develop awareness. Awareness means noticing what the mind says without judgment. A woman might catch herself thinking, "I'm not as beautiful as her," or "I will never achieve that goal." Instead of accepting these words as truths, she pauses, she recognizes them for what they are. Just thoughts, not reality. This pause is powerful because it creates space to choose a new thought. In that space, she can replace comparison with gratitude, fear with action, and weakness with resilience. Discipline also plays a role in mastering the inner dialogue. Just as the body becomes stronger through training, the mind becomes sharper through repetition. An undefeatable woman creates practices that strengthen her mind: affirmations, meditation, journaling, or even speaking her goals aloud every morning. These practices may seem small, but over time they reshape the subconscious patterns of the mind. Slowly, the inner critic loses its volume, and the inner guide begins to speak louder with clarity and encouragement. It is also important to remember that the mind reflects the company it keeps, the books we read, the conversations we engage in, the media we consume. All of these are food for the mind. A woman who surrounds herself with negativity will find her inner dialogue echoing that same darkness. But a woman who surrounds herself with inspiration, wisdom, and kindness will hear those qualities mirrored inside of her. She becomes selective with what enters her mind because she knows it directly shapes the words she speaks to herself. Mastering the inner dialogue does not mean silencing doubt forever. Doubt will still appear, just as clouds still appear in the sky. The difference is that an undefeatable woman does not let those clouds block her sun. She acknowledges them, but she does not let them dominate her horizon. She chooses instead to focus on the clear sky that always exists behind them. Every undefeatable woman understands this. The way you speak to yourself determines the way you walk in the world. If your inner voice says you are broken, you will carry yourself like someone who cannot heal. If your inner voice says you are powerful, you will carry yourself like someone who cannot be defeated. And the world, seeing your walk, will respond to your belief. Emotions are among the most powerful forces we carry within us. They rise and fall like the ocean tides, sometimes calm and peaceful, and other times violent and overwhelming. Joy, sadness, anger, love, fear. Each of these emotions holds energy that can either guide us toward growth or trap us in cycles of suffering. To become an undefeatable woman, one must learn not to be controlled by emotions, but to live in harmony with them. This does not mean rejecting feelings or pretending not to feel pain. It means cultivating balance so emotions serve as teachers rather than as chains. Think of emotions as visitors knocking on your door. Some visitors bring gifts of laughter and warmth, while others carry heavy bags of sorrow or frustration. If you slam the door on them, they may pound harder. If you let them take over your home, they may leave chaos behind. But if you greet them with awareness, allow them to stay just long enough to be understood, and then guide them out when the time is right, they will pass through without leaving destruction. This is the art of balance. An undefeatable woman does not run from her emotions. She allows herself to cry when grief comes, to laugh when joy appears, and to feel the fire of anger when injustice crosses her path. But she does not drown in those states. She does not allow a temporary wave of sadness to convince her that life is hopeless, nor does she allow anger to harden her into bitterness. She honors her emotions as signals, not as permanent truths. Imagine standing in a storm, the rain lashes, the wind howls, and for a moment it feels endless. But no storm lasts forever. The undefeatable woman remembers this truth. When her heart feels heavy with sorrow, she reminds herself that this feeling will also pass. When she feels overwhelmed by anger, she takes a breath and remembers that she has the power to choose her response. By doing so, she becomes like the mountain, unshaken, even as the storm rages around her. Cultivating emotional balance also requires self-awareness. Many times, people react without understanding the root of their emotions. A woman may snap in anger, not realizing it comes from exhaustion. She may withdraw in silence, not recognizing that it stems from fear of rejection. An undefeatable woman looks deeper. She asks herself, what is this feeling trying to teach me? By identifying the lesson, she gains control over the emotion instead of being its victim. Practices like mindfulness and reflection can support this balance. When sadness arrives, she might sit in stillness, breathe, and let the feeling flow through her body without resistance. When joy arises, she allows herself to savor it fully, instead of fearing that it will be taken away. Balance is not about denying highs or lows. It is about experiencing them fully, then returning to a steady center. Relationships also test emotional balance. Words from others can trigger anger, jealousy, or insecurity. The undefeatable woman trains herself not to react immediately, but to pause. She recognizes that her response is her power. If someone tries to belittle her, she does not give them control by exploding in rage or collapsing into tears. She breathes, she grounds herself, and she chooses a response aligned with her dignity. This calm presence disarms those who wish to disturb her peace. Emotional balance is not a state one reaches and holds forever. It is a practice renewed daily. Some days the waves will be stronger and balance will require more effort. But with time, the woman learns to trust herself. She knows that no matter how fierce the emotion, she can face it, understand it, and move through it. This trust makes her undefeatable because she is no longer at the mercy of her own inner storms. The body and the spirit are not separate. They are deeply connected, each influencing the other in ways we often fail to see. A tired body can weaken the spirit, while a strong body can give the spirit room to grow, to expand, and to rise. To become an undefeatable woman, it is essential to see the body not as something to be criticized or neglected, but as the sacred foundation that allows her to live with clarity, resilience, and power. Many women are taught to see their bodies through the lens of appearance. They measure their worth by size, shape, or beauty as judged by others. But the undefeatable woman knows her body is not just an ornament, it is her vehicle, her armor, her home. She treats it with respect because without its strength, even the brightest spirit can struggle to shine. When her body is cared for, her mind is sharper, her heart steadier, and her spirit freer. Strengthening the body is not about competing with others or meeting external standards. It is about cultivating energy, discipline, and endurance. A woman who trains her body, whether through exercise, dance, martial arts, or simply daily movement, discovers the power within her own muscles, breath, and heartbeat. Each time she pushes herself a little further, lifting, running, stretching, she proves to herself that she can endure discomfort and grow stronger from it. This resilience does not remain in the gym or on the mat. It spills into every area of her life. She learns that if she can carry weight with her body, she can carry responsibility with her spirit. Nourishment also plays a role in strengthening the body. Food is not only fuel, it is energy that becomes part of who she is. An undefeatable woman is mindful of what she consumes, not because she fears weight, but because she values vitality. She chooses what nourishes her body and mind, avoiding what drains her strength. By doing so, she sends herself a message every day. I care for this vessel, I honor it. That message builds self-respect, and self-respect builds power. Discipline in caring for the body also teaches patience and consistency. Results never appear overnight, but through daily practice, change becomes visible. This patience trains the spirit as well. A woman who commits to moving her body regularly, even when motivation is low, learns the truth that growth is built on persistence, not fleeting desire. This lesson mirrors life itself, where success often comes not from sudden bursts of effort, but from steady, unshakable commitment. But strengthening the body is not just about physical training, it is also about protecting the spirit that lives within. The body carries emotions, stress, and unspoken pain. When ignored, these burdens can weigh down both health and happiness. Practices like meditation, breathwork, or simply stillness allow the spirit to release what the body has been holding. Movement and rest together create harmony, keeping both the body and spirit resilient. The undefeatable woman also understands that rest is as sacred as effort. Just as the seasons shift between growth and stillness, the body requires cycles of activity and recovery. Sleep, quiet moments, and relaxation are not weaknesses. They are forms of strength that restore the body and replenish the spirit. She knows that burning herself endlessly will only dim her light, while balance keeps her shining. When the body is disciplined, the spirit becomes fearless. When the body is cared for, the spirit rises with confidence. Together, they form a shield that the world cannot easily break. The undefeatable woman stands rooted in this connection. Her body is not just flesh and bone, it is the guardian of her inner power. Her spirit is not just thought and feeling, it is the fire that animates her body. In strengthening one, she protects the other, and in protecting both, she walks through life unshaken. Life is in constant motion. The seasons change, the tides rise and fall, the sun sets only to rise again. Nothing in nature is fixed, yet human beings often resist change, clinging to what feels familiar even when it no longer serves them. To be an undefeatable woman, one must embrace adaptability, the ability to bend without breaking, to flow with life instead of fighting against it. Adaptability is not weakness, it is a hidden strength, for it allows you to remain unshaken no matter how unpredictable the path becomes. Think of water. It takes the shape of any container it enters, yet its essence remains unchanged. Water can be gentle, nourishing life, or it can be forceful, carving valleys through stone. This is the image of adaptability. An undefeatable woman learns to be like water. She flows when life demands softness, and she strikes when life requires strength. She does not cling to rigid expectations. Instead, she allows herself to transform, knowing that flexibility is not losing herself but discovering new forms of herself. Every challenge in life is an invitation to practice adaptability. A relationship may end, leaving emptiness where companionship once was. A job may be lost, tearing away a sense of stability. Circumstances may shift suddenly, demanding change. In those moments, many feel defeated because they cling tightly to how things should be. But the undefeatable woman breathes, accepts, and asks, "What now?" She does not see change as the end of her path, but as a bend in the road that reveals a new horizon. Adaptability also means letting go of the illusion of control. So much of life is beyond our command: the actions of others, the shifting economy, the passing of time. To fight against what cannot be controlled is to exhaust yourself. The undefeatable woman learns to focus her energy only on what she can shape: her actions, her mindset, her responses. She releases what is not hers to carry, and in doing so she finds freedom. She bends with the wind instead of snapping against it. Adaptability requires humility. To adapt is to say, "I am willing to learn. I am willing to begin again." Many resist change because their pride holds them captive, convincing them that they must already know all the answers. But the undefeatable woman welcomes the unknown. She sees herself as a student of life, willing to shift perspectives, to unlearn old patterns, and to step into new possibilities. This humility becomes her strength because it keeps her open to growth that others might resist. Adaptability is also about resilience in the face of failure. Every person will stumble, but the difference lies in how they rise. The undefeatable woman does not let failure harden her into bitterness or soften her into surrender. Instead, she adapts. She reflects on what did not work, shifts her approach, and tries again. Each setback becomes a teacher, guiding her toward a stronger version of herself. This ability to adjust makes her unstoppable, for no single defeat can define her. Even in the smallest daily moments, adaptability plays a role. Plans may fall apart, children may bring unexpected challenges, or the body may not cooperate as it once did. Instead of frustration consuming her, the undefeatable woman practices patience. She says, "This too is part of the journey." By adjusting her expectations, she preserves her peace. She understands that rigidity creates suffering, while flexibility creates harmony. To embrace adaptability is to trust life. It is to recognize that change is not the enemy, but the very essence of existence. The undefeatable woman moves forward with the grace of water and the strength of the mountain. She bends, she shifts, she transforms, but she never breaks. The world is filled with voices that try to define who you are. Some voices praise, others criticize, and many shift depending on convenience or circumstance. If a woman relies on those voices for her sense of worth, she will find herself endlessly rising and falling with their judgments. But the undefeatable woman does not hand over the key to her value. She builds her self-worth from within, brick by brick, until it stands like a fortress, unshakable, unbreakable, and untouchable by the opinions of others. Self-worth is not arrogance, nor is it a loud proclamation of superiority. True self-worth is quiet confidence, an inner knowing that says, I am enough as I am. It does not require constant validation, nor does it crumble when others fail to see it. When a woman carries this kind of worth within her, she moves differently. She walks with dignity, speaks with clarity, and chooses relationships, opportunities, and actions that align with her value. Too often, women are taught to measure their worth by external factors, beauty, success, wealth, or approval. But these measures are fragile, for they can be taken away or changed with time. Beauty fades, careers shift, relationships end, and applause quiets. If a woman ties her worth to these fleeting things, she will live in fear of losing them. But if she roots her worth in something deeper, the undeniable truth that she is valuable simply because she exists, then no circumstance can strip her of that power. Building this fortress begins with awareness of inner dialogue. Every time a woman says to herself, I am not good enough, she chips away at her own foundation. Every time she says, I am capable, I am learning, I am worthy, she strengthens her walls. These inner messages shape the way she sees herself, and in turn the way the world sees her. The undefeatable woman guards her self-talk as fiercely as she would guard a precious treasure, because she knows that is exactly what it is. Boundaries are also a crucial part of self-worth. A woman who values herself does not allow others to misuse her time, her body, or her energy. She knows that saying no is not cruelty, but self-respect. Each boundary she sets is like another stone added to her fortress wall, keeping her safe from those who would take without giving or diminish her without reason. These boundaries do not isolate her. They protect her so that she can give her love and energy freely to what truly matters. Experiences of failure or rejection often test self-worth. Many women believe that mistakes make them unworthy or that being turned away means they are not enough. But the undefeatable woman sees it differently. She understands that failure is an event, not an identity, and rejection is a reflection of circumstance, not her value. She does not crumble under these experiences. Instead, she stands taller, reminding herself that her worth was never dependent on external acceptance. Nurturing self-worth also involves surrounding oneself with environments that reflect respect. Just as a plant thrives in fertile soil, a woman thrives in supportive company. She seeks relationships that uplift rather than diminish, and she walks away from situations that poison her spirit. But even when she finds herself alone, she does not feel empty. The fortress she has built inside sustains her, reminding her that she is whole even in solitude. The undefeatable woman's self-worth is a quiet strength. It does not need to shout, and it does not need constant defense. It radiates in the way she carries herself, the way she makes choices aligned with her values, and the way she refuses to shrink to fit into spaces that cannot hold her. Her worth is not negotiable, and because of this, she cannot be easily broken. There is a kind of strength that comes from within, but there is an even greater strength that awakens when you live for something larger than yourself. When a woman connects her life to a higher purpose, she draws upon a source of energy that does not easily run dry. Challenges may exhaust her body, difficulties may cloud her mind, but her purpose will carry her through the darkest valleys. This is the secret of the undefeatable woman. She does not walk for herself alone. She walks for something greater. Purpose is the compass of life. Without it, a woman may achieve much, but feel an emptiness within, as if her victories lack meaning. She may chase goals, gather possessions, or earn praise, but still feel restless because none of it truly feeds the soul. The undefeatable woman recognizes this truth. She asks herself not only what do I want to achieve, but also why does it matter? Who does it serve? What impact will it leave behind? In those questions, she discovers her guiding star. Living with purpose beyond yourself means understanding that life is not only about personal gain, but about connection, contribution, and legacy. It could be the purpose of raising a family with love, the purpose of helping others heal, the purpose of serving a community, or the purpose of creating something that inspires future generations. Purpose does not have to be grand in the eyes of the world. What matters is that it is grand in the heart, that it lights a fire that cannot be extinguished. When challenges appear, purpose becomes a shield. Imagine a woman who works tirelessly not just for her own success, but to provide a better life for her children. Fatigue may weigh her down, but her purpose gives her the strength to rise again. Imagine another woman who dedicates her efforts to protecting the environment, ensuring the earth thrives for generations to come. Obstacles may block her path, but her purpose gives her the courage to persist. The undefeatable woman draws endurance not from willpower alone, but from the greater mission that calls her forward. Purpose also transforms pain into power. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries energy. Left unchanneled, that energy can turn into bitterness or despair. But when a woman ties her suffering to purpose, it becomes fuel. She may say, I went through this so that I can help others through it too, or this wound taught me strength, and now I will use it to guide others. Her pain becomes a teacher, her scars become maps, and her story becomes a light for those who walk behind her. Living with purpose beyond yourself also requires humility. It is not about ego or recognition, but about service. The undefeatable woman does not need the world to applaud her mission, because her fulfillment comes from the work itself. Even if no one notices, she continues, because she knows the ripple of her actions will reach further than she can see. A kind word, an act of compassion, a piece of wisdom shared at the right time, these may seem small, but they can change lives in ways unseen. Purpose gives clarity in decision-making. When faced with choices, the undefeatable woman asks, does this align with my mission? Does this bring me closer to the life I am meant to live? This focus keeps her from being distracted by temptations or derailed by setbacks. She does not waste her energy chasing what does not serve her higher calling. Her steps are intentional, her time is sacred, and her energy is directed toward what truly matters. Above all, purpose creates legacy. The undefeatable woman does not only think about today, she thinks about tomorrow and the lives her actions will touch long after she is gone. She plants seeds that may take years to bloom, knowing that her contribution to the world is not bound by her own lifetime. In this way, she becomes timeless, because her influence continues through those she has touched. My sisters, the path of becoming an undefeatable woman is not about never facing struggles, but about transforming every struggle into strengths. It is about mastering the dialogue within, so that your own voice becomes your ally. It is about honoring emotions yet not being enslaved by them. It is about strengthening the body so the spirit can rise higher. It is about flowing with change instead of breaking under its weight. It is about building a fortress of self-worth that no one can tear down. and it is about living with a purpose so powerful that even storms cannot dim its fire. An undefeatable woman does not stand because life is easy. She stands because her foundation is unshakable. She rises not only for herself, but for those who come after her, for those who watch her, and for the legacy she chooses to leave behind. Remember, the world will always test your strengths, but if you live by these principles, you will discover that no force outside of you can defeat the power that lives within you. You are not meant to be conquered, you are meant to rise. And when you embrace this truth fully, you do not just survive life, you embody it unbroken and unstoppable